Today we're gonna see how I got a date with an actress on dating app with only 10 messages. And you'll see how I went from starting the conversation with this simple message to her telling me this. But the best part is this does not require any secret formula. It's actually a 7-step method that I'm gonna write here. I'm going to explain to you and that you can reproduce if you apply those correctly. I learned those through years of practice and I want to make it simple for you today. Let's get right into it. So step 0, I want to grab her attention. And for this, I'm going to use an open loop. If I want to ask a question, I tell her I actually have an important question for you. But if I want to make a statement, for example, I would say, can I be honest? Or I have a confession to make. So this will allow to grab her attention before we make her invest about herself, which is the step number 1. So step number 1, we're going to use pertinence to make her talk about herself. Here, I see that she's an actress, so obviously I ask her, when I saw your profile, I couldn't help but think there must have been so many people who started the conversation by referring to your acting career. What were the funniest, cringiest one? So basically my assumption here was that a lot of men just make wordplays or pickup lines based on her acting career, and I wanted to see what were the cringiest one that she's ever received. To which she answers, "Ha, you are right." So the craziest one was when I was playing the mistress of a commander. So yeah, I think she misunderstood my question, but my partner was supposed to fake slapping me, but he couldn't do it at all. And that was where he slapped me for real, or we couldn't play that scene. Yes, she's French speaking, so her English is not the best. Since he couldn't do it, I told him to slap me for real. So during all our repetitions, I got slapped several times for real with all his forces. Now that we have this information, step number 2 will allow us to make an assumption about her. This is what we call a qualifier. You attribute a quality to her based on what she said in step number 1. Little important note, this quality must be pertinent to the frame you want to use in the discussion. So attribute to her a quality that is useful for dating or that has a flirty connotation. Okay, here I tell her, haha, you're taking method acting to a whole new level. That's my little way of rewarding her. And I ask her, are you as all in and intense in your day-to-day life also, or is it just for work? Okay, so here the important quality is intense because it's something that we can use while we flirt and we can also use when we're talking about dating. Okay. Now we can see step number 2, qualifier. She qualifies herself. She says, haha, exactly. I'm all in and intense in my life. What about you? Nice. Now that she talked about herself, let's make it a little bit more personal and move on to step number 3. Yeah, it's number 3. The we frame. So we made the conversation about her. Now let's make it about both of us in the same scenario. So what do I do to put a we frame? In that case, we're going to get along amazingly well, you and I. Now, I assume a positive outcome. This is the whole point of being confident. And she says, oh, really? Very much so. I love living 100 kilometers per hour because we're not in the US and being intense in everything I do. So I tell her, I am as intense as you. Don't worry, girl. Even dating-wise, I'm curious if your intensity can keep up with mine. Yeah, I have to be honest with you. Every time I write, I'm curious if your adjective can keep up with mine, I cringe so hard. It's very hard for me to write those things, but it does work, so I just do it. I put the reframe. I'm curious if your intensity can keep up with mine. What does she tell me? We are pretty the same. There's a word missing here. Interesting. I'm curious too. So she's as curious as me to see if her intensity matches with mine. That's good. She accepts the we frame. Okay, now she accepted the we frame. We're good. We made her talk about herself in step number 1. We made her qualify and she accepted the we frame. Now it's time for the date proposition. But the date proposition is not only 1 step, it's actually 3 very important steps. If you miss one of those 3 steps, it can be less smooth and less solid. So make sure you always follow those 3 steps. Okay, so step number 4, we're going to first tease the date proposition. That's what I call a tease. You don't want to invite her on a date right away. You want her to ask you to invite her on a date. It seems complicated, but it's actually very, very simple. So when she tells me we're pretty much the same, interesting, I'm curious too, she accepts the reframe, I tell her, good to know. In that case, since we're both the same, you're going to love the plan I have in mind for our first meets. Okay, so now when she reads this, the only question she had in mind is, what does he have in mind for our first meet? I want to know now. And so she's gonna ask us, okay, tell me more about it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the most important part, the step number 5, the date proposition itself. Since I'm an amazing guy, I wrote you a template on how to form a good date proposition. Just use this template. Best recipe: cocktails, classy bar, fun talks, and me charming you throughout the night while you tell me about. Insert one thing that she loves and plus insert second thing that she loves. Here you can see that I wrote your most funny anecdote and experiences, because apparently she does love talking about her anecdotes and experiences. And number 2, about how much you love your dogs. Yeah, honestly, I didn't have much inspiration here, but I saw she had dogs in her profile, so I was like, yeah, let's just put that. And the little bonus here, I write, and you're going to love the next dates even more. So here is kind of a way to reassure her that I'm not looking for only one night stand or only a one night thing, and to tease upcoming dates after the first one. And at the same time, I also assume a positive outcome and I stay confident. So I tell her, yeah, we're gonna have a one date, but you will want to see me for a second and a third date also. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So I made the date proposition. What does she say? Very good choice. I like it. So she does love our date proposition. That's cool. You're making me more and more curious. Now here I can see that she said, I like it. So I just insist, I double down on it even more. I tell her, you're going to love every second of it. Now I seem very, very confident. That's very attractive. Okay, so here she accepted the date proposition, and you might think, okay, she wants to go on a date right now. Let's just ask her when she's free. No, 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 no. That's the best recipe for her to cancel last minute, okay? We want to solidify it even more. And so we go to the step number 6, the solidification. So we want to make the date unique in her mind, okay? Here, my goal is to create scarcity, making her realize that we are rare, we are scarce, we are hard to find, like water in the Sahara, like a pole position of a Ferrari. That's what we want to make her understand, okay? So for that, I'm gonna ask her a question. I'm gonna ask her, I'm curious also, when's the last time you went on a super fun date with a man you ended up completely charmed by? There's a interrogation point missing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, she just understands that it's a question, so that's a good thing. So she says, you're going to love every second of it. She says, I hope. And now she says, oh wow, honestly, it's been so long that I don't even remember anymore. It's been so long that she hasn't been charmed by a guy. She's so lucky we're here. And we're rare. That's what makes it solid, okay? So for this, step number 7 is actually the last step before asking for when she's free. Frame yourself as the solution, okay? So it's been so long that I don't remember anymore. It's been a long time that she hasn't been on a date. What do I tell her? Let's make up for all that time then, okay? And here I ask for her availabilities. When's the best time, according to your schedule, for me to make your hopes come true? Why do I say your hopes come true? Because here she says, I hope, so I'm kind of reusing her words. She's hoping for stuff, she's hoping for stuff, and I make her hopes come true. So which she responds, you know how to talk to a woman? Yes, I do. And then she gives me her availabilities. So she says, I'm available on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, all 3 days starting in the afternoon, and otherwise Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, she's basically available the whole week. So yeah, I mean, she's available like pretty much every day. That's cool. So we just choose the day that we want. And what day do we want? Honestly, here I want to take the closest day possible. So she's still in that kind of like in that mindset of like, oh my God, this guy is so cool. So I take the closest day. I tell her, Tuesday sounds perfect. Do you have WhatsApp? I mean, if you're younger, probably ask for her Insta, I guess, but since I'm an old guy, ask for her WhatsApp. To which she gives a WhatsApp. And now we can arrange logistics. Okay guys, so let's sum it up. What did we do here? First, step 0, we want to grab her attention. Step 1, use pertinence to make her talk about herself. Step number 2, use what she said about herself to make her qualify. Step number 3, use the qualifier to create a we frame. Now that we created a we frame, what do? We tease a date proposition. Step number 5, the date proposition. Step number 6, make yourself scarce. And step number 7, frame yourself as the solution. And then you can ask her when she's free. Subscribe, please.